Hello and welcome back to another video. I'd just like you to take a look at this clip from the UK's Boris Johnson. He's no longer Prime Minister, but he's still an MP, giving a speech to the House of Commons.
Boris Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House will know that supplies of British, American and other Western equipment have been absolutely vital in helping our Ukrainian friends to protect themselves against continuing and merciless Russian attacks. And I thank him and the government for all that they have done and continue to do. Does he agree with me that we and our allies must help our Ukrainian friends not just to take out the drones and the missiles, and that means supplying them with anti-aircraft systems and fixed-wing aircraft to help shoot them down, but also to take out the launch sites of those missiles and drones by supplying the Ukrainians with the use of longer-range missile systems such as ATACMS, because that is the way truly to protect our Ukrainian friends and to bring the war to an end as soon as possible.
Now, I don't know about you, but this is something I just can't get my head around, that he wants to commit the latest air defence equipment, he wants to commit fighter jets, and he wants to commit long-range missiles so that Ukraine can strike into Russia. And the consequences of that are pretty dire for the UK. You know, the UK is within easy striking distance of Russia, of Russian missiles, and it seems as though that this kind of talk is just goading Russia into want to doing more. Now, I don't know why Boris Johnson is so far up Zelensky's backside, and I don't know why the UK are so into supplying Ukraine with missiles and money. I mean, it just strikes me as absolutely bizarre when we have half of the public sector threatening strike action because the government won't give them a reasonable inflation rate pay deal, yet we can send all this money and weapons to Ukraine, fighting a war on behalf of the USA against Russia. You know, the reality is this has very little to do with Ukraine. I also feel that by the US, the UK or other European countries committing these sort of long-range weapons or fighter aircraft or, you know, more advanced air defense systems to Ukraine, all that they're effectively doing is getting NATO involved in that war. And we already know what Russia have said will be the consequence of that. We've seen the consequence of the bombing of the bridge in Crimea. And we also, you know, are seeing the consequences to Ukraine's power grid because of that, because that was retaliation. And what strikes me as very, very odd, we know why the US want to do it, because, you know, the Pentagon have just issued massive contracts to the military-industrial complex there. People like, you know, Raytheon and these kind of companies, and they will do very well from it. So it keeps the American military-industrial complex going. But I see no benefit to the UK whatsoever. You know, the UK is in a really pretty bad financial state at the moment. We are trillions of pounds in debt. We can't afford to give our public service workers a reasonable pay rise. And the new Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, is already talking about measures of austerity. You try to book a doctor in the UK, you try to get a passport renewed in the UK, how long does it take? Because these services are running with minimum staff. Anyway, I just think it bizarre, instead of the governments around the world trying to get Russia and Ukraine to the negotiating table to actually get a ceasefire. You know, there are thousands of Ukrainian and Russian soldiers that are being killed on a daily basis. If you read Western media, it will suggest that Ukraine is winning the war, but the actions of the West, like Boris Johnson's speech in the Commons, suggest otherwise. And if you read alternative news, you'll see that Ukraine are actually not winning the war. Anyway, that's my take on it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. But for now, As always, take care.